from a freezing cold Johannesburg. Yes, I am dressed in my running gear, but I have no intentions of running today. But let me tell you the little story of where it all began. Because 99 years ago, a few fellas decided they were going to run from Durban to Pietermaritzburg. Why? Just because they could, and that was the way that they did. So they were trying to make it like it was a tribute to the fallen soldiers in World War I. But we know how guys are, we especially know how guys of those generation are. It became a bit of a competition. So in 1921, about 16 people eventually finished the Comrades, and it was a dusty road, right? So the following year there was obviously a little bit more finishers because guys like to compete, and on it went. So 10 years later, and there was very little records, and I had to try and skirt, and who knows of the untold runners that participated but didn't pay entry fees. But 10 years later there was a Geraldine Watson who ran the first unofficial women's Comrades race. She finished just over 11 hours, and then she ran the following year, and it was a bit closer to 12 hours, but it was the first unofficial finisher for a lady to do the Comrades up and down race, back-to-back race. So where did it all begin for me? The most unlikely love affair of my life. Very public and very, very unexpected. I started working in television, and I did my first Comrades marathon, and I stood at, I think my first point at that time was Drummond, which is where I now know quite fondly. And I stood there, and after the main guys had gone through and the people limping at the back hadn't started coming through, there was that chunk of really good runners in between. And I was standing outside the TV truck, and I was looking at these runners, and I thought, I want to do that. But you got to remember, I was in my early 20s. Lots and lots of time ahead to run, yeah? So I thought, I'm going to do this before I'm 30, because in those days, setting goals was a thing for me. Of course, I filmed it the next year, and the next year was fantastic because it was Wally Hayward was running, and he came in just before cut-off, and he was in his 80s. But more importantly, and closer to home, my brother-in-law was running, and he came just a few minutes before Wally. So unfortunately the cameras were searching for Wally, and I couldn't see. In those days the time and chip wasn't that important, so I was still thinking, oh, I'm still going to get to do it because, you know, I was still in my 20s. And then life happened. No running, but life. And in close to my 40s I decided, maybe I need to start getting fit. And on top of that, our late sister Joanne got really sick, and I thought, you know, I'm really wasting my health here, and we only get one chance at life, so why am I not making the most of my health? In 2005, Debbie, my youngest sister, decided she was going to run Comrades. It had been a dream of hers. So we went with her on the train, Comrades train, me, Mary and her daughter, and 4 of us. And it was an absolute blast. But I remember standing at the finish, we'd made a banner for her and everything, and she came in the Randburg Harriers colours, and I'm shaking my head going, she's mad, she's mad. Her feet were raw from blisters. I'm thinking, why would anybody want to do this? 2005. 2008, I had gotten over myself at thinking that I am now too old to do this. And I thought, let me try. 2008 was my first attempt, and we were going on an up run, me and Marlene. And there's one thing that happens on races like that. When you share a portion of that road, not only do you fall in love with the Comrades race, but you fall in love with the people around you that you share that piece of that journey with. So whether you see them for 5Ks or for 12 hours, they are now my love forever. And Marlene is my running wife, because we shared that stretch of road. We shared the disappointment when we got to the last 21 Ks, and we still had 3 hours, which in all rights and purposes is enough time. We don't know what actually happened. We didn't really dawdle, and by that time there was very little talking, because, like, you know, you've done 80 freaking Ks. And we got to the top of Polly's before the cut-off, made it through, people are applauding, and on we went, and on we went. And we still kept looking at our time. I think the clock was going faster than our feet. So we didn't make it. But hubby and sister, they were all standing at the end with this banner that they'd adapted for me. And obviously, as it got closer and closer to cut off, there's no sign of me. They were disappointed. There was tears, apparently. I was out in the road thinking, I just ran from Durban to Pietermaritzburg. Okay, there was a lot of walking, but I went on foot. I mean, that stretch of road isn't even nice to drive. I mean, really? Me. And at that stage, 40, in 2008, I was 42. I was turning 42 in the same month. Did not know that I could fall in love with an intense physical thing like that. So next year, I was not saying, I'm going to try. This is mine. And I finished with Marlene, and this is the medal that you see, our first official medal. I could now officially wear the Comrades t-shirt. Yay! And that was me. A very public love affair with the most bizarre thing. On the road, not only do you meet people that you fall in love with, the spectators that are there rooting for you, the little kids that are waving and clapping with their hands that are sore but they can't stop because they can see I've made an eye connection, the people that shout out your name because my name's on my number, or wanting strangers that are wanting me to finish this race. It's undescribable. But I fell in love with myself, because even though I'm cursing and every single runner goes through it, there's a time in that race, in fact quite a lot of that race, you're going, why the actual hell am I doing this? Really? I'm not coming back. That first Comrades, which I didn't get my medal, that first distance that I did, everything was sore. My eyelashes were sore from blinking. I was so overtired that night, couldn't sleep. I had to lift the pajamas up like this. Everything was a grunt. I ended up moving out of the room that we were sharing, and I went and slept in the living room, took the mattress up the passage because breathing was sore. And chafing. Okay, that's another story. That's another channel. The following year, I got the medal. The was less, and it wasn't out of crimes of passion, although different kind of passion. And then I managed to get 4 medals. I've lined up 9 times at that start. So my odds are pretty bad, but it's a love affair that until you do it. I mean, I watched it, I filmed it. I was a viewer, I was a supporter. But until I actually ran it, I did not know the depths of the love that I could feel in my heart. And, I'm getting emotional. This year, I didn't enter. I thought, there's no ways I'm going to make the cutoff of the qualifying time. Life has happened, things have gotten in the way. And all of a sudden, the priority of Comrades had to shift a bit last year. So then I realised I need to go back, because I need to go back and get that medal, but I need to go back when I'm ready. Because now I know what it takes. It's not just the lining up at the race on the morning, like so many people did virtually for the running of would have been the 99th Comrades today. But the 99th year, but not necessarily the 99th race. So it would have been it's like cheating on your lover, because I didn't have the emotional energy and the emotional capacity. Now, we all think it's a physical thing, but it's the emotional capacity of the months before. These people that are running 90Ks today have been started in January. They started building it up, getting trust with themselves, with the road, with their eating, with their supplies. There's all these little things. It's not just a race. It's the 6 months of sheer devotion that you have to give to yourself, to your running mates, because that makes it easier, and then also the race. So that ultimate day where you actually stand up there is an indication to the people that you have given yourself the best possible advantage, considering the circumstances. It doesn't mean to say that it's always the best case, but you're feeling ready to tackle that challenge. And I must say, last year, watching the race live on TV was the first race I'd entered, but couldn't do it. Watching that race as a viewer, I now know all the emotions that people are going through. I'm watching the timer, watching the dots on the screen, and it's nerve-wracking. It's far more nerve-wracking being a spectator than it is an actual runner, because when you're on that road, nothing can describe the feeling of Ubuntu, which is a South African word for I see the divine in you. But nothing can describe that feeling there when you're standing on that road all that way. I mean, my rock star finish, I actually got into Moses Mabhida Stadium, unfortunately, 20 minutes after the cutoff. But by that time I knew, so it wasn't like I was trying to dash for time. But that moment where the sky is just, the rain had finished and the stars had started to show and the music and that song was playing, the lights were on and everybody was leaving. And I walked in there and I'm thinking, I, at the age of 52, got in on that stadium as a rock star. Me. So I didn't get one of these. Now this is the tiniest medal, let me just turn it, that you will ever get. It looks big next to the thing, but it is tiny. But it is the most important medal for any South African runner and a lot of international runners, because it means 6 months of a year that you've devoted to actually training. The 6 months after Comrades, you start planning your devotion afterwards. But there's nothing that beats you trying to bend your head after 90 Ks when that person puts that hit that over your neck like that, and there's that feeling, I did it, I'm a Comrades runner. And if there's anything that I'm really, really grateful for and really, really proud of myself, is that I came back and I came back and I came back. So even though I might not have had finishes, every single year has different standout points for me. Even the year I only got to halfway and I decided, nope, I am not going to even cross halfway. Every story has a part in my heart of this love affair. So it sounds all very lectury, but as you can tell, I'm quite passionate about it. And today, it's Corona in this crazy time, and there's over 40,000 people across the world that have signed up for Comrades in one way or another. So whether it be 5K or 10K or the full 90 Ks, it is in itself a race in history, but nothing beats that feeling when you're standing up there in Pietermaritzburg on a freezing cold night and you're shuttled together with your friends or your soon-to-be friends and your soon-to-be lovers, and you're singing the Xhosa Rosa and the national anthem and the Chariots of Fire, and then you hear that cockerel and we stand, and then that cannon goes off and we wait, because especially me at the back, and we wait for 10 minutes before we get to that start line, just the starting line. So 10 minutes are gone, but we know that. So you've got to watch for the dustbin bags and the thrown off tops, because the people, as soon as you hear the gun, they're going to get run, but you're not going to run until at least 15 minutes, because even though you cross the line, then it's a stop start, because there's masses of people. There was like 17,000 people all standing there. So until you get to I get to halfway, and then I know usually halfway the front guys are finishing. So from Durban to Drummond, which is 45 plus Ks, it's just a constant stream of runners. Visually, I mean, not even TV can get it, but when you look up ahead and you see those thousands and thousands of runners up ahead, and you know that we're all going through our own story, we're all going through our own love affair, we all want the same goal, even though we're dressed in club colours, and we've all got this distinction. Okay, we know that person comes from the Cape, we know that person comes from Mauritius, we know that person comes from Zimbabwe, we know that person comes from India. Yay, Australia, go Britain! You know, there's all this, there's just nothing like it. And to know that we're all wanting that goal of crossing that finish line, it's just, but we're also respecting, we know where you've come from. The last 6 months, I've been on a road, somewhere around the road on the globe, you've been running too. So that's my message for today. So go Comrades and go ladies. The first official female runner was only in 1975. We weren't allowed to pay an entry fee. We weren't allowed to stand up there. So even though Geraldine had done it in 1931, we weren't allowed. And you know, for that privilege of buying an entry, I'm thanking those lady pioneers who did it illegally and who went out there and said, we might not be the fastest. Okay, maybe Frith was a good contender, but we might not be the fastest, but we're just as passionate. So let us have our run. So next year, onwards, upwards, here we go.